Don't let meditation intimidate you. It is not scary. It's actually, and it's not easy either, but it's not hard. There's so many tools out there to help you do it. And I can literally take my blood pressure, and if my blood pressure is elevated, I can meditate for like literally a minute and naturally lower my blood pressure and retake it. And it's so beneficial for, so even for your gut health. And we all struggle with gut health at some point in our lives. And so it's so important for all of that, and to just really get in touch with your body and what your body's trying to tell you. So just start small, even if you do it this week and then next week you're like, oh, I only meditated once. It's okay. Just start again. Today's a new day. And just be gentle on yourself, and just give yourself time, because it can be, I still have frustrating sessions myself. That's going to happen, but it's so beneficial for you and what it does to your body, and the energy you're putting out in the world. It really is a mirror of what you get back. So to learn that, and really kind of, once you start seeing that in action and it's actually working, just go for it, because you owe it to yourself.
You're listening to Inspire Me with Jay, where science meets spirit, and stories of meditation and the near-death experience awaken what's possible within us all. I'm Jay, and this is your moment to be inspired. Welcome to Inspire Me with Jay. I'm your host, Jay Spillers. I have a guest today, Tracy. How are you, Tracy?
I'm doing so well. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good myself. So you got into meditation to help you with trauma, or like what is your story with meditation then?
Yes, I did. I got into meditation. I didn't really get into it thinking I need to do this because of trauma and anxiety. I was just at a point that I just was very unsettled in my life, and I just felt off. And so I just started meditating. And right away, like very quickly, when I started meditating, I realized how much I needed the meditation to address my trauma and anxiety. So it was kind of, I started out of desperation, I guess. And then when I did it, I realized how much I really needed it.
And so how did you start meditating? How many years ago? What did you do?
It was about, well, gosh, almost, it was in 2020 is really when I started meditating. And so almost 6 years ago. And I just honestly, I researched and I went to YouTube and I did research and I tried to figure out, like, how do you meditate? What is it all about? And I understood very early on that it's a practice. It's called practice for a reason. It can be very frustrating at times to stay focused, and things like that. So I learned that very on. But I also, when I started, I love guided meditation. It's one of my favorite. And that's probably, like, I think I was telling you, 75% of my meditations guided. And I very quickly, when I started meditating, I started noticing a lot of differences. I started seeing things differently. It was helping calm me, my nervous system. And it was really helping me kind of focus. So I really noticed the benefits within a couple weeks, like pretty darn quick.
And so like I mean, how long were you meditating for? Like how long were the guided meditations usually?
I started out, I would do like 15 minutes. I would start out with just a 15-minute. I didn't want to overwhelm myself, because I think when you first start meditating, like people that meditate for hours, it seems, how can you possibly do that? And so I just started in small increments every day. I would do a 15-minute guided meditation. And there were certain people that I liked more than others on YouTube that I would follow. And it just became a habit. And I just started doing it every day. And some days I will meditate for 45 minutes or an hour, or some days I might be able to get in a quick 10-minute meditation. But I do try to do it every single day now. And even if I don't have, I'm not in front of YouTube, I still will center myself and do it alone, unguided. Now that I understand the breath work and body scanning and, releasing tension from your body and things like that. So I am able to do that now, but it's incredible when you start doing it, how quickly you start feeling the effects of it, because it is so powerful and it's so easy. It's just such an easy thing for us to do that we all have access and the capability to do it. And it's kind of like going to the gym. You're better off getting in a 5-minute walk or going to the gym for 10, 15 minutes than nothing at all. It's kind of the same kind of concept.
So, like when you were picking meditations, were you just sort of like kind of random, or were like you looking for specific types, like meditation for peace or mindfulness meditation? Like what were you focused on when you picked a guided meditation?
Uh, Early on, I was looking at more to calm my anxiety. So I would research, that I type in, meditation for anxiety or meditation for um, being upset or, whatever I was feeling at that moment. And then when I was meditating, I stumbled upon this guided meditation about reaching and getting in touch with your higher self. And it really, really intrigued me. And so I went all in. I'm like, I have got to learn about who this higher self is, who I am, what my higher self looks like. And and that's when that really took off my meditation trajectory after that. It just completely changed my whole meditation practice. And now typically when I meditate, I am meditating to my higher self.
Hmm. So, I mean, in terms of like how use it as a tool for de-stressing, do you kind of like when you're in a stressful moment go meditate, or is it more like a preemptive thing at this point? How does it work more for you?
Yeah, I mean, there's no cure for anything, even, I still struggle, but the biggest thing with me is just knowing my breath work. So it might be as simple as if I'm driving, I can't obviously meditate with my eyes closed while I'm driving, but I'll work on my breath work. That's one thing that you really learn with meditation is your breath work and how important that is just in everyday life. And so I'll work on my breath work to try and, calm myself or make myself centered. And so that's something that I do that every day. And there are times when I will have anxiety or stress, and I will, if I do have a moment to go off to meditate quietly, I will. And a lot of times I will meditate after I go to the gym, because when I get back from the gym, I just really want to center and, get in that great place before I, go take a hot shower, get ready for work for the day. So I just try and make this habitual now. And I know the triggers that I have now, what if I'm stressed out or I get anxious, and I'll, pull myself to the side and give myself that time and space to, even if it's for just a few minutes, just to get my breath work and meditate for a bit.
Hmm. And so, like for breath work, in terms of stress and trauma, like what kind of breath work are you doing? Are you doing like deep breaths in, where you then hold and then slowly
Yes.
release, or? you
Mm-hmm.
know.
My go-to is I'll breathe in for 3 seconds, hold it for one, and then a long exhale for 4 seconds. So I'll inhale for three, hold it one, and then exhale for four. And I try and make those really slow, labored breaths. So that way it helps lower my anxiety, it even lowers my blood pressure. So I try, that's my go-to if I'm just doing it on my own. And I just even sometimes like over Thanksgiving, I was getting stressed getting everything ready for Thanksgiving. And even when I was in the kitchen cooking, I stopped myself for a second to just start taking in some deep breaths and just trying to calm my nervous system and my heart rate and everything. So it's a regular practice for me now. I'll even do it while I'm cooking.
Hmm. And so, like, when you got into meditation and started connecting to your higher self, what did um, what did that look like? I mean, what did that mean when you said, "I connected with my higher self"? Is that the deeper part within you? Is it the part that
Mhm.
connects us with the divine?
Yeah, it's the my higher self to me, and I know it's probably different for everybody, but for me, I feel like when I connect with my higher self, it's how I picture myself in the purest, most almost angelic way. It's how it comes in my mind, is how I picture myself. And when I connect with my higher self, I'm literally, it's almost like a mini therapy session, honestly. And my higher self is my therapist. And it's almost like my higher self is coming in and I can visually see what I look like, how my body language, how I'm acting, and it comes in and comforts me, and I can ask it like, I want to see myself how you see me. And I can look through my higher self's eyes or even feelings and emotions, to feel like that energy that I'm supposed to be feeling in my everyday life. And so it's really comforting to have that. It's almost like you've got this secret best friend that is you, that comes to you, and I can get so deep in my meditation with that I can literally see my higher self walking to me in my meditation. And it's me exactly what I look like, but a much more, like I said, almost like an angelic version of me, I guess.
Hmm. It's because it's kind of like when I started meditating, you'd feel like you would get information kind of outside yourself, like what you call God.
Yeah.
But then after several years, it was like, well, I think it's just me, and it's more internal now, but it's the same kind of higher level knowledge, and that's
Yeah.
probably the higher self that you're talking about.
It is. And I don't have all the answers because I'm fairly new to meditating, but I know that could be God if you believe in God or whatever you believe in, a higher power. It could be God or that higher power working through my higher self to give me those messages, to give me that insight, like this is how I should be seeing things. This is how I should be feeling. This is how you really are, and you should see yourself like this. And you, like you said, you get those downloads, and it could be from a higher being that's working through my higher self to get to me. I don't know that. I haven't had the honor of figuring that out yet. All I know is the information I get's incredible, and it's so comforting. It's just so, like, I remember the very first time I was able to actually see my higher self through meditation, and it was mind-blowing. It was absolutely mind-blowing, and it happened very quickly. When I started doing the guided meditation for that specific reason, for the higher self, within, I think, my second time trying it, it worked. And I had already been meditating before that, so I don't know if that had something to do with it, but it worked, and it was so powerful. I was like in this euphoric state for like days after. I'm like, I cannot believe how I just saw myself and how it made me feel, and the energy that it kind of put in me, and that I was able to then project out into the real world.
But it's kind of like when you connect that way, it cuts through negativity and different
Hmm.
prejudices you might be have at that moment or something. It just kind of gets to the real thing, like, cuts through all the junk and
Yeah.
just penetrates your heart with love, you know.
Yes, that's such a good way of describing it, because it is. We all have ways we think about things, like you mentioned, prejudices, like things that are going on in the world that we just there's so much going on in the world right now, and it really separates that, and it makes you focus on what you really need to be doing, the information that your higher self is supposed to be giving you. It makes you focus on that, and that's the priority.
Hmm. And you said like one of the key things you like to do in meditation, and it sort of connects with your higher self, is you like to do the body scan.
Yes, I always start with the body scan, no matter what I'm meditating for. Some days I'll just meditate for no reason. I just do it to meditate because I know it's good for like my blood pressure, my nervous system, all that stuff. So, but I always start with a body scan, because and that's meditation teaches you how to do that. But it's really important that you're fully, like, all your tensions released from your body. And it's almost like when I do it, it's almost like you feel like you're just sunk into a fluffy pillow. Like that's kind of how I feel when I'm done with my body scan. It's almost like you're like, how am I going to be able to move my arms and legs after this? Because it's so relaxing. And you're just laying, and you just feel like you're laying in a cloud or a super fluffy pillow or something like that. And it really sets the tone then for, the next step of the meditation once I finish the body scan. And body scanning can be very quick. I mean, you don't have to take a long time to do body scanning. But for me, for my practice, it's really, really important that I do that right away in the beginning, just to kind of set the tone for,
Hmm.
whatever's going to come to me next.
And have you ever tried something similar to a body scan? Like it's called progressive relaxation. We focus on different parts of your body and you physically tense up and then you release. It's kind of like a more aggressive form of body scan, but it has more of a
Yeah.
physical element to it.
I'm just learning something new. I'm so glad you asked that, because I just recently, within the past couple months, have read about a type of release, energy release, negative energy release, I want to say, where I picture my spine on my back. I only focus on that, and I tense up, like you were just saying. I purposely tense up, and I picture the rainbow, like the colors of the rainbow going up my back, and each one of those colors is releasing tension from a part of my spine, going all the way from my spine up to my shoulders. And I've been doing that a lot lately. I just read about it, and it's been so powerful, because I'll release, like, and I don't know if you remember from school when you were learning the colors of the rainbow, Roy G. Biv, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. That's the initials for it. So I'll do
Mhm.
that. And then as I'm going up red, orange, yellow, I'm releasing like whatever negative tension I might have in my spine and my back. And I literally, it's going to sound silly, but when you meditate, you do kind of silly things like this. But I take all that negative energy in a ball, and I imagine it being thrown into like a huge pit, and then it spins around, and all these lights come out, and it comes back out positive and re-enters into my spine in a positive way. So it takes all that, it turns the negative into positive energy. And I just visualize this while I'm meditating. And so sometimes I won't do a full body scan. I've been doing that a lot lately, and I feel like that's been taking my meditation to a different degree in a way. And it was really cool when I read about that because I'm like, that's really interesting because I carry most of my tension in my back and spine and my neck and my shoulders. You know, a lot of us do. So that's a way for me to just focus on the main areas. And then at night, I'll do more of a full body scan. I'll try and do full body before I go to sleep. But in the morning when I wake up, if I have a minute to do, I'll just do that focus on my spine with the colors of the rainbow.
Hmm. And I mean, you said consistency is the most important thing, even more than like, the time frame is to do it daily. Are you
Yeah.
are you consistently doing it every day then right now?
Yeah, I do every day. And, and that's the one thing, I want to tell people, and I'm sure you can understand this. Meditation can be very frustrating. That's why it's called a practice. And so even if I have, like I said, literally 5 minutes, I'll just do 5 minutes. But I look at that as a gift to myself. Like I'm doing something good for myself every day and for my mental health and everything like that. So I make it a priority to do it every day. A lot of times when I'm traveling, I'll meditate an entire flight. Like on an entire flight, I'll meditate. And and I just try and find the time to, because you owe that to yourself. And it really puts you in touch with how to regulate everything. And I still have bad days. I mean, just because I meditate every day doesn't mean I'm in peace and harmony every single day. I still have bad days and I still have crappy meditation sessions too. I mean, it happens. It happens to the best meditators in the country. They're not, it's not always going to be amazing, like an amazing practice, but even if it's not, I don't care because I still did it.
Hmm. But have you found that like the guided meditations is basically becomes like a teaching tool to you too, because it's like if you go on without the guided meditations, you sort of remember, what you could potentially do, during a meditation by referring back to the guided one.
Yes, the guided ones I felt for me personally have taught me a lot. And I'll go and look at for some new ones. And a lot of these expert meditators, you learn so much from them just in what they're guiding and talking you through. And I'm like, I never thought of looking at something like that, or I never thought that maybe I should be meditating and concentrating on this particular subject. And you learn so much from it. So all of my meditation practice I take from my guided meditations or from something I read, or it's never stuff I make up. It's all from what I've learned from some of the best meditators in the world. And I have an app actually on my phone that I use, and I use it almost every day.
And so you've been working with people with trauma, haven't you, more recently?
Yeah, so I actually started a podcast, and it launched in July. And because I have been through an enormous amount of pain and trauma and in my life. So when I started meditating, the meditation practice is really what started my healing journey for my trauma. If it wasn't for meditation, I would not have been able to get to the other side of my trauma without it. And that was really pivotal. So I started a podcast. It's called Trauma Rock Stars, and it's on all platforms. The video versions of the episodes are on YouTube, and then audio is available on all other platforms. And I'm on all socials under Trauma Rock Stars. And it's a place where I explain my story and why I'm doing this, but I have all guests that come on to talk about their trauma journeys and what modalities have worked for them dealing with their trauma and getting them past it. I even have I've had psychotherapists on that talk about their practice as well as their own trauma that led them to become psychotherapists or counselors, or social workers. I've got guests on that have all different kinds of trauma, because trauma is trauma. It doesn't matter how big or how small it is. You can't measure trauma. So I have these most incredible guests on, and their stories, and a lot of them also are, in meditation practice as well. And it's just so inspiring to hear them and how they deal with their trauma, and even just day-to-day life. And their stories are just so inspiring to me.
Is there anything that you've learned, that you've sort of added to your own routine from some of the guests that you've had on there? Different
Every
techniques?
single, yeah, every single one. I have learned. I've got 28 episodes out now, and every single guest that has been on, I'm so proud of them, because they've got such incredible stories and journeys. And I take little bits of everything they say, and and I just try and apply that, because I journal too. That's another thing, is I journal, and I don't journal every day. Like, I do meditate every day, but I don't journal every day. I've got to get better with that. But I write a lot about what I learn from these guests that I have on. And I know they've had things that have worked for them, things that haven't worked for them, because what works for me might not work for the next person. So that's why I want all these guests on, because I want them to explain what worked for them and maybe what didn't work for them. So anybody who's dealt with trauma in their life can maybe learn one little thing that's going to help them get to the other side of that. So it's been an incredible journey, and it's opened up so many doors since I've launched it, and it's brought so many incredible people into my life. And every time I meditate, like, they say you really need to live in a state of gratitude. Well, you do. You have to live in a state of gratitude, and it brings more to you when you live in a state of, it's kind of like whatever energy you put out, you get back. So it's been quite the journey.
Hmm. Have you had anyone that's done like various forms of hypnotherapy?
Yes, I've had a couple hypnotherapists on. I've had people on that specialize in plant-based medicine as well as psychedelic meds. I have people on that are child social workers. I've had so many different, like MDMA therapy. That's a form. That's another modality. I've had people on with so many different modalities, and that talk about their journey doing that versus even therapists. I had this one guy on, and he's a psychologist, and he explained to me why he got into psychology through his own trauma, and he meditates and he journals, and I've gotten a lot of, because I'm a terrible journaler. I'm a much better meditator than I am a journaler, but I've gotten so many amazing tips from them on how to, what they do to journal and what they write down. And I've even had my own therapist on, Allie, and we talk very openly about my journey and stuff like that. And she talks about her own trauma too. My own therapist has been on to talk about that. So it's been really cool.
Hmm. Well, and it's like there are so many different things you can do. I mean, even with like meditation itself, in terms of finding ways to heal and to find that peace, and
Yeah.
sometimes things that work for one person wouldn't work for another, because be like,
Yes.
some people like to do mantra meditation, but other people would be like, wouldn't really do anything for them.
Yeah, and I haven't done that yet. I haven't gotten into that where, even I haven't even really done group meditation that much. And that's something that I'm definitely open to, because I know the power of it and what it can do for your mind and your body and your soul and everything. So I'm very open to that, but I have not had experience with that myself. Have you?
Yeah, I mean, I teach a adult education meditation class, So I guess we're
Hmm.
obviously a group, and I'm teaching them about meditation each week and doing meditations and things like that. And I know like adult education is one place you can go that's, relatively low cost. And I think hospitals sometimes will have introductions to mindfulness meditation and things like that. We can, start in a group, and it's, not really that threatening or costly or anything.
Yeah, and I think you can probably, tell me your opinion on this, but I think when people first start thinking about it, it can be intimidating when people start thinking about meditation and then they're like, okay, I'll try it. And then it can be very frustrating, as you know, like, because it's every day is different. You're not going to not necessarily get these downloads of information that you need. It's just more, some days you're just working on your breath work, and that's just okay. And I think the biggest lesson for everybody is don't get frustrated, because we all get frustrated when we do it. It's identifying that frustration and then staying consistent with it.
Hmm. And I think it's kind of like working out in the sense like, as you work out, you get better and better and you get stronger, and it flows more naturally. But there's some days like even when you start to work out, we're like, oh, well, I got achy and sore this one day or
Yeah.
whatever, you know.
100%. Yeah. And it's perfectly described, because you work on your meditation muscle, right? And
Hmm.
but the days that I have these incredible meditation practices, it makes up for the ones that aren't so great. But even the ones that aren't so great, I try to, you know, really think about them. And like I said, what did that teach me? Okay, well, it just taught me today just to calm down and lower my anxiety and work on my breath work. And I lowered my blood pressure naturally, and that's good enough, for those days. That's all I need. And even if I, like I said, even if I can only squeeze in 5 minutes, everybody can squeeze in 5 minutes. So there's a lot of days that I can only squeeze in 5 minutes, and I don't feel guilty about it. I don't like beat myself up about it. I just do the best I can. And then tomorrow is a new practice day that but I think you need to mentally keep yourself open throughout, because you never know what information is going to come in when you least expect it too.
Hmm. Well, and that sometimes too, it's like I really like to meditate with music, and music is very helpful
Mm,
to me. Whereas maybe for other people, they might like complete silence, and maybe that's something to try. Is try it with music a few times, try it in total silence, kind of see what works for you. Like you could try different locations too, like maybe you like
yes.
to meditate outside, maybe you like to meditate inside in an easy chair. There could be different
Hmm.
things that can help with your comfort level, you know.
Yes, I agree. And it's funny, some of my guided meditation is with music, but it's with a very soft, soft instrumental music in the background. So it's not too distracting. But then some are in complete silence. But one thing is, when I'm done working out, and I do my meditation after I'm done working out, for that particular meditation, for some reason, I like to lie down. I don't like to sit up. It just
Hmm.
feels more comforting for me if I just come home and lie down and I put my hand on my heart and on my heart and my stomach, and I meditate that way. And it's just so much more comforting for me for that. But then if I'm doing my regular meditation, I usually sit for that. But there's no right or wrong, whatever works for you. And I think, like you said, try different things, try different places, maybe try outside where you're getting some of the natural sunlight, or, what, under a tree somewhere, just try. And like I said, I do it on the plane a lot when I'm traveling. I meditate. Um, on the plane and things like that, because I can be a little bit of a nervous traveler on anyway, so that helps me. But there's no right or wrong. Like, you can't screw it up, let me put it that way.
Yeah. Well, and like you can actually combine meditation with exercise because like they have what they call walking meditations where you meditate, you just focus on your five senses usually and just focus on what you're experiencing, as you're walking. So you're kind of getting
Yes.
physical exercise combined with the meditation.
Yeah, it's like I find something. What are you smelling right now? If you're walking by a tree, what does that tree feel like? What is it? What is if you pick up your pace, what does that feel like in your legs? Really, like you said, with the five senses, what are you hearing? Are you hearing birds chirping? Are you hearing trucks in the background? If you're in a busy city, what just identify with those senses. So there's so many different ways you can do it. When you're commuting to work, you can work on that, and you don't have to meditate with your eyes closed. There's like you said, there's ways of doing it with your eyes open as well, where you're noticing your surroundings and how your body feels.
Hmm. So, do you have any like future plans or projects you want to be working on? You're doing your podcast right now, and
Yeah. Yeah, the podcast has really taken on a life of its own. It's been very, very rewarding, but very challenging as well. It's a lot of work. People don't realize how much work is involved with podcasting. But I'm working on that. And then 2026, I'm working on a workshop with a psychotherapist that was actually on my podcast. We're creating a workshop, like a 90-day workshop for people to help them with their trauma and things like that. And then I'm also going to be writing a book.
oh, cool. What's the
Yeah.
book going to be called, and what's it going to be about?
Well, I can't say too much right now, but it's going to be about my journey. It's basically going to be about my journey. It's not going to be a fiction, but about, what I've gone through and what I've learned, and kind of looking at my journey through the lens of my higher self. So I'm going to
Hmm.
have some of that in there, things I've learned through meditation and what my higher self has shown me about myself. And there's going to be quite a bit of that in there through the journey. So I'm really excited, and I'm going to be starting that next month, which is, oh my gosh, like in a week. I'm going to be starting.
So, I mean, in terms of finding trauma rock stars, could you go to YouTube and just type in
Mhm.
trauma rock stars, or go to Spotify and find it
Yep.
that way?
Yep, it's Trauma Rock Stars. So Rock Stars, two words. I know a lot of people spell it as one word, but Rock Stars, two words. But you can find it all socials, Trauma Rock Stars. If my name is Tracy, if you want to get in touch with me, people message me through socials, or you can email me at podcast@traumarockstars.com. A lot of people email me that way. And if anybody has a trauma story they want to share, I'm always looking for incredible guests, and we can schedule a call to chat and connect and get to know each other that way. And so I'm very, very open, and I can tell you that, going through meditation and things like that, I'm very, very open talking about my trauma journey and everything I went through. It doesn't bother me to talk about it at all anymore, and it's because of I meditate.
Hmm. Do you do like one episode a week, or do you just sort of,
Hmm.
is it informal?
Yes, one episode comes out every week on Thursdays at midnight. There's a new episode that comes out, and like I said, we just launched the 28th episode, and I'm pretty booked. I've got episodes booked through March that are coming out. So I'm always open to any new people that want to come in and talk about their journey. And I would love to hear your story. And I actually have a couple guests coming up that have had near death experiences that are going to be on, and they talk about that. And I try and have a lot of different topics on that are where it's not like the same topic, but everybody's journey is so different. So I could have five of the same trauma, whether, say it's, I don't know, they were abused as a child. I could have five different people on that were abused as a child, but their journeys are also different. So it's really interesting to hear and how people really decided to face their trauma head on, and um, it's inspiring. And I think there's any story that people, it's important. I think the healing part is talking about it. And that's one thing that the podcast is doing is it's creating a community so we can all support each other. Because back when I went through my trauma, when I was a young girl and a teenager, I didn't have a community that I could talk to that I knew understood. So that's what this is doing. It's creating a community for us all to support each other and be there for each other. And so people can say, oh, I get her. I understand. And I know she understands me. So that's really, really important to me.
Hmm. So, is there like one final word you'd like to leave with the audience before we close out?
Yeah, I just want to, I think I said it, but I just want to say don't let meditation intimidate you. It is not scary. It's actually, and it's not easy either, but it's not hard. There's so many tools out there to help you do it. And I can literally take my blood pressure, and if my blood pressure is elevated, I can meditate for like literally a minute and naturally lower my blood pressure and retake it. And it's so beneficial for, so even for your gut health. And we all struggle with gut health at some point in our lives. And so it's so important for all of that, and to just really get in touch with your body and what your body's trying to tell you. So just start small, even if you do it this week and then next week you're like, oh, I only meditated once. It's okay. Just start again. It's today's a new day. Don't, and just be gentle on yourself and just give yourself time, because it can be, I still have frustrating sessions myself. That's going to happen, but it's so beneficial for you and what it does to your body, um and the energy you're putting out in the world. It really is a mirror of what you get back. So to learn that, and really kind of once you start seeing that in action and it's actually working, just go for it, because you owe it to yourself to do it.
Hmm. Yeah, well, thanks for being on today. It was a pleasure to have you.
Jay, thank you so much for asking me. This has been great. I could talk about this stuff forever.